Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's KETIV Autodesk Virtual Academy session. At this point, we have over 2,000 subscribers for AVA. Woo! So thank you all for spending some time with us every week out of your busy work days and learning some great tools with us. So now I'll introduce Grayson Donovan, this guy sitting to my left here. Grayson's an application engineer here at KETIV, works similar on the team with me. He's also an AutoCAD electrical extraordinaire. Happens to be our instructor here at KETIV. Grayson, you've worked in the field as well using some of these tools.
5 years in petrochemical, facility design, skid packaging, and lots of panels.
Definitely, for sure. So with that, I think we can go ahead and jump into the actual presentation itself. So Grayson, I'll let you take over from here.
Yeah, thanks. So as I was saying, it's been, 8 months since our last AutoCAD electrical project?
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been on the road, and as you kind of go around, you start to look around, and one thing you kind of notice is that everywhere has panels. They're just a part of life. If you have electrical, you're going to have some kind of junction box or control panel that you're going to need to work with. And another running theme of these is, for whatever reason, they always want to try to make them smaller. You never really have open up a control panel and like, look at all this space that I can use. It's just packed wires, all your components are really closely put together, and it's oftentimes kind of a mess. So one of the things that AutoCAD Electrical can really do is make sure that further down the road, you can have the smallest panel possible without missing any components and then maybe having the wrong footprints. So that's really kind of what I wanted to show today, is building one of these control panels off of a pre-existing schematic. We're going to use manufacturer components to populate our footprints. And then once we have all our components linked and tagged and everything's working out nice, we can actually do a dynamic bill of material that'll update for us. So our goals, right what I was kind of talking about, is we're going to first take a look at our schematic and we're going to identify some of these required components. Then once we figure out what exact components we need to put into our panel, we're going to start using our manufacturer information and our catalog part numbers to insert these footprints. And then after everything looks nice, we got everything kind of put in order, toss in a panel, then we're going to go through and populate an actual bill of material and have that on the drawing. So we're going to start off with just a home screen right now. You notice that you have our project manager open. If you guys aren't familiar with project manager, then I would say you probably want to spend a little more time getting into electrical, because this is how the entire thing works. So we have our KETIV AVA project, and then I'm going to open up our power and our control drawings. So first one open is our motor power. So we kind of zoom in here. Have some circuit breakers, fuses, some contact relays. We got some terminals later on down the line. But if you notice that we have this little tagging information in here, this cabinet. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this component. And we'll go into our Insert Edit Component dialog box. And you notice down here where it says location code, we have cabinet. Now, this is a way for me to let the designer or other engineers know where exactly I'm planning on putting the circuit breaker. And by using these location codes, I'm able to later search and identify which components I actually need. So there's no guesswork. I don't have to, look through all the drawings, write down a bunch of tag numbers, and try to figure out what I need. And a benefit of that is that I'm not going to run into a situation where I miss something, and then you're going out to fabrication, and all of a sudden they're asking you for this component is. That's what we call a showstopper, and it can lead to costly delays. So, looking at our drawing, we think we got everything in here, and then if we hop over to our control, open that one up. We're also going to get a few other things that are part of our cabinet. We have an emergency stop contact relay for a push button. What else do we have in here? It's the second one over down this way. And then we also have some PLCs. So figured everything out here, so let's start our cabinet. Now, there's a few different ways that you can use the tools inside electrical to do your panel drawings. Most of them come through the icon menu, and this allows you to just kind of pick whatever you want. Now, since we're dealing with a schematic that's already populated and we know which manufacturers and parts we need, we can use this schematic list. We can also, once we're in the schematic list, is we can choose, where we want to pull these components from. If we want to pull them from an active drawing, we have that option. If maybe you have a list of components that you always use on the same exact panel every single time, you can use these save lists to external files. So for us, we're going to use the project, and then we're going to come over down here where it says location codes to extract and use our named location. When we're inside here, we can scan our project. We can figure out that I want to grab all the components that are inside the cabinet and then hit OK. So now we have our options configured. Hit OK again. And then this is going to ask us to batch process whatever drawings we want to take a look at. For simplicity's sake, we're going to just hit do all and we're going to grab everything. But if this is what you want to do, you can always select one drawing at a time. Hit OK. So now we get a list of all the components that are going to be inside of our panel. If you notice on the left-hand side here, we have like a little X and some dash marks. What this does, it'll show us which components that we have placed into the drawing already. So I'm just going to grab a couple of these real quick. Let's drop in those circuit breakers. So I'm going to select all the circuit breakers, and then I'm going to come down here and hit Insert. Now it's going to ask me in what insertion order I want to put these in, and if I want to use uniform spacing or prompt for each location. Uniform spacing is really good if maybe you have a cut sheet in front of you and you know like exactly how wide the circuit breaker is going to be. And then you can kind of figure out if I want to have these spaced 2 or 3 inches apart, put my XY distance in, and it'll go from there. For us, we're just going to go ahead and prompt for each location. And then I'm going to resort these so that they're going to be in order of tag. Hit OK. And now we got our component. So just kind of zoom in here a little bit, find my 0, 0. That looks pretty good. And we'll drop that guy in. It'll prompt our edit panel layout component. Our location's already tagged, and it pulled in my manufacturer, my catalog, and then my tag, and also my description. So it's directly linked back to the schematic. If I change something on this, it changes the schematic, and vice versa. Okay. Get that little nice placed in. Same thing, and this is just going to keep going down the list until we put everything in. All right, so once we finish our selection, as we said, gives us this little X. This lets us know that it's placed inside. If you want to just not even worry about that, you can go down to here and click this Hide Existing. If you click this, it just eliminates it altogether. I like to show all just to make sure that I have everything taken care of. I don't want to have any mysteries, just my kind of preference. What else do we have? Here's some motor coils. Let's drop those in. So same thing, back into our spacing. I'm going to resort, hit OK. Let's drop these in here. Now, it's a good thing to point out is kind of, where does electrical get these components? Well, when you first install the program, there is an option to install, I think it's close to 50 different manufacturers. Send their, their component catalog into Autodesk, and they turn these into footprints and put them inside the program for us. You're not just limited to what already comes with the program. You can make custom components and attach these to your catalog browser. So I'm going to just drop in a couple more. Let's control relays. Resort, hit OK. It's a pretty simple process. We're just grabbing these pretty much these footprints out of the icon menu, and then just populating this. So let's just drop a couple more big pieces in here. I'm not going to worry about the fuses too much. We'll just get these PLCs and we'll keep going. Sort. Okay. Put these ones up into the top right.
And you're resorting just so that the tag components are numerical?
Yeah, it makes it easier for like the electrician or whoever's operating the panel. Sometimes it's nice to have the tags in sequence. That way they're not searching all over the panel for a certain part. Keep everything nice and close. All right, so we'll just go ahead and stop there. I'm not going to put on the fuses. Let's see, we're going to close this. All right, so that's pretty much our panel. This is most of the components that we're going to want to have in there. And you know, now I can do a little test. Like, how big exactly do I need this to be? Do a little rectangle. I can take a couple distance commands. Something like this looks pretty good. So we're about 18 or 17 and a half inches across. About 22 3/4. So pretty standard size, maybe like a Hoffman enclosure, about like 24 by 20 I think would work. So to find that, we're going to come over back to where we had our schematic list, and I'm just going to jump into my icon menu. Now, this is another way to access all these components if you didn't have a schematic list populated. And it's also where you're going to find your enclosures, and then if you even want to put a DIN rail in there, you have access to that too. So let's do enclosures. And then now we're going to get to 3 possible choices of how to find it. Choice A is kind of the way that we did our schematic. We're going to look for a manufacturer, get the part number, and then we're going to pull in the footprint from that. You can, if you know where all your drawings are saved, you can just do a manual footprint selection. And then once we have something selected, so we'll go to catalog lookup, I'm going to look for a Hoffman enclosure. And then let's see. As you can see, there's quite a few options, like a lot. I'll do an A24C20. I think this is a sloping roof one. So an electrical junction box, carbon steel, NEMA 12. So grab that guy, hit OK. Press OK. And now it's going to give us a layout of our footprints. So I can take this panel, which the center one represents the interior, and I'm just going to drop that down. It's as a linked component now, so Hoffman A24C20 ALP, and then hit OK. Then come back over here and we just delete these other ones out. All set, and we have our panel. Looks pretty good. I'm pretty confident that everything's going to fit in here. I have enough space for my wires. It looks nice to put together. But what about listing out the components? So I'm going to do a quick save on this. And then I'm going to come up over to my, item numbers. So I like to do this first before putting in the bill of material. And all of this does is it searches through the components that are on this drawing. And then it assigns an item number to it. So, you know, component relays are going to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. And then this is going to correspond back into the bill of material that we develop. Hit OK. If we go now and right-click, say on this component, hit footprint, we'll see that our item number is being listed at 15. You know, if you kind of take a look at some of these different ones, I think component relays, you know, this one's 4. This guy over here is probably number 1. So now that we have this populated, I'm going to go over to my report tab and then use my panel reports. Inside here, you're going to have a lot of different options. You're able to set up different formats. There's different types of reports that's going to give out. But the one we're concerned about for this is the bill of material. Now, you can either search through your project or your active drawing. So active drawing is only going to pull the components that are on this exact sheet. Project will encompass anything that's supposed to be in there. So depends on what you want. For us, we're just going to go ahead and use project. We have different options. You know, if we have push buttons with nameplates, cable connectors, jumpers, we can turn these on. We're going to leave our display options as being normal. And then just to make sure I get everything I need, I'm going to use this named location, and then use my project again. So search through, grab my cabinet, hit OK, and it's only going to pull the components that are part of the cabinet location. Hit OK, batch process, and then now we have a report generator. As you see, we have the tag, so we have PLC 251 is item number 1, 2, and then it'll combine the ones that are similar. So CR 201, 207, and 213 are all the same component. So these are joined together as component number 3. So on and so forth, all the way down this list. We also have a few different options. We have our time date, title lines, project lines, column labels. These are all things that you can configure yourself, and if these are part of it, you can put them into your bill of material. If you have a large component list, you can use these breaks. So you can use special breaks that insert kind of like a break wherever you want it to be, and then you also have page breaks, which will separate it. Maybe you have the same bill of material over separate sheets. We have an option to save to file. This will output it as an Excel, which is really handy if you're using a customer equipment list and you're sending it off for approval. Or you just put it on the drawing, which is what we're going to do today. So I'm going to hit put on drawing. Let's see, I'm going to insert a new one. And then I'm just going to leave my table size as 1/8 inch. And I'm not going to really include too many things. Down here at the bottom, we can choose what layer we want to put this on. And my miscellaneous is this really dark blue, so I'm going to just drop this on my 0 layer for white so we can see it. Hit OK, switch out the layer. And we're not going to worry about anything on the right-hand side because we're just going to be clicking it ourselves. So I'm going to hit OK, and we're going to get this box. And really, this box just represents where my bill of material is going to be placed. I drop it so on here, hit close, and if we zoom in, now we have a full bill of material. So that's cool. I mean, we got a bill of material and put this on our drawing, but what are some of the other things that we can do with this? Well, we got our little surfer guy. And we can click on these. Oop. Wrong one. We can click on these components and we can get a list of where it wants to be. So I know I can go to this guy, click Go To, hit, and it's going to take me back to the schematic and whatever component this represents. So I can search between the two. If maybe I wanted to see which exact panel drawing I had this component in, I can click that. It would take me back over. So let's go to my cabinet again. Now that we have our bill of material populated, we can start adding balloons into our drawing. And then these balloons will be automatically tagged by the item number. So go back over to panel. We go to balloon. And you'll see that it says to select my component for the balloon. So I'm going to control this circuit breaker. Turn off my snap so this is a little better. And then drop my balloon. And then I can keep going throughout the entire drawing. Get these placed in. If you don't like leaders and you just kind of like having a balloon there, you also have that option. Just click, enter, and it should teleport it somewhere. There it goes. So move this guy a little bit. It's really just off your preference. Some places I see they'll just drop down a little tiny balloon next to something. Other ones will give you an entire one. And then now you can just go through the drawing and start populating all your balloons. So your electrician, whoever is assembling the panel, can just take a look at bill of material, find it on here, take a look at schematic, and then wire everything up. And that is pretty much panel design. Just as a little bit of a summary, we use the schematic list command to populate our footprints. Once we used that command, we went ahead and inserted those manufacturer-driven component footprints. And then we also took a look at, report generator, getting our bill of material populated, and then dropping those balloons on there. So now we're going to move into our Q&A section, and I hope some people have some questions about some different things that we can do.
All right. So first question here comes from John, and John says, I have a product design suite. I noticed this was in there. Is it full functionality?
Yeah. Yeah, it's completely, so AutoCAD Electrical, if it's in Product Design Suite, you'll have anything that if you had it in another suite. It's 100% that's AutoCAD Electrical.
Yep, and much like the other AutoCAD verticals, if you say you wanted to use it as just base AutoCAD, you can just change the profile.
Yeah, so then, there's your workspace. You can change that to maybe if you have one set up for AutoCAD, just plain. It'll get rid of all the electrical functionality, and it'll just look like plain AutoCAD.
Yep. It's definitely a question we get pretty often in support. So yeah, I just want regular AutoCAD, but I can't load it. Let me go ahead and open the rest of the Q&A. I lost it real quick here. Looks like we've got a question here. This one's from Benjamin. What is the back-end database?
So the back-end database is what they call the catalog browser. It's a really kind of a completely customizable log of all the different components that you can have inside electrical. And then once you kind of like that browser set up, you're able to assign a footprint to each of those components. It's a pretty easy thing to get to if you're back in the program. We could show you. I mean, if that's something you're really curious about, feel free to reach out. We can help you out with that.
Definitely. And then backwards compatibility, Grayson. How does that work with electrical?
For the most part, pretty well. It's not too picky like Inventor or something about going backwards. I mean, we're still dealing with an AutoCAD program. The thing that will update is maybe the project file, but as far as the footprints and the attributes that are inside there, they're all pretty much the same.
Definitely. And then it looks like we have another one here from Ben. How does AutoCAD Electrical interact with Plant 3D? You're the plant guy too.
That's a good one. So I'm also the plant guy. I wouldn't necessarily say that they are directly compatible. You're going to probably use them hand in hand. I would even say Inventor sometimes gets tossed into this for electromechanical design. In a facility, you're going to have panels everywhere. So I wouldn't say that you can directly import an AutoCAD electrical project into Plant 3D, but there might be some ways to have some attributes talk to each other so information is transferred. It's like you can do a lot of things with AutoCAD. There's really kind of no limit.
Definitely, for sure. And this one comes from Rich. Can people use regular AutoCAD, or using regular AutoCAD, use files from electrical? How does that work?
Yes, so it is a DWG file. There is no difference. The only special thing about AutoCAD electrical files is that they have a special attribute that lets the program know, hey, this is an electrical file. So if you're sending maybe a drawing out to a customer that doesn't have electrical, it'll open up completely fine. And then when you get that drawing back, you're not going to lose any of the functionality that you had before. You're not going to end up in a zero-state document.
Mm-hmm. And then looks like we've got one from Lee here, and I know this is a biggie. Can this be ported to Inventor for a 3D model? And I know there's like a very specific workflow for that.
I know that what you can do between electrical and Inventor are what they call cable harnesses. So it's kind of called electromechanical design. We actually have a really good presentation about that you can take a look at for more information. But the way that it works is you create your cables inside of AutoCAD Electrical, do your tagging, figure out what you want everything to be, and then that can be taken back into Inventor when you go to do your routed systems.
Yep, and then we also do have a class for electromechanical design. So if that's something you're definitely interested in, feel free to reach out to us, either in the survey afterwards, or just reach out to us at questions or info@ketiv.com. We'll definitely get all of that information to you. Looks like we've got one here from Benjamin again. What tools are provided to interact with the database?
So there really isn't a tool. You kind of just click on the catalog browser and a menu pops up. And all this menu does is it tells the type of component that you're looking for. So maybe a power supply, circuit breaker, relays, and then a little pencil mark. You click that pencil mark and you're able to start modifying the catalog browser. If you have any experience with 3D software like Inventor and the Content Center, it's much of the same thing. It's just a table of information. It's all text data that then you assign to different footprints.
Definitely, yeah. So we have a couple of available classes. for this. So if you are interested, please let us know. One being like just a basic 2D electrical design course taught by Grayson. Then we have AutoCAD Electrical for like administrators. If you want more details about that, please let us know. I believe that one's also taught by Grayson. Yeah. And we've got an electrical mechanical design course, which is, you know, kind of using Inventor with the cable harness tools, as well as like AutoCAD Electrical. That one's also taught by Grayson.
This guy.
Looks like we've got another question here from Chris. Isn't Catalog Browser a front end for Access database?
It might be. It probably is. The thing with Access is it's kind of internally as far as your project. Everybody has access to, you know, a certain file location where they're going to have all these footprints stored, and then everybody should have also access to the shared database with those components. So it is kind of, but when you do all the setup in the program initially, everybody should have access to the same catalog browser.
Can I chime into that one?
Yeah, go for it, Nicole.
Hi guys, this is Nicole Morris here. I just wanted to add to that. Yeah, so Autodesk does, or AutoCAD Electrical does use Access for the database in the background by default, but as of 2017, we now have the ability to switch that over to SQL. So I've had several people ask for that in the past, and they've heard you loud and clear, and they do have an ability to do that. If you need that, let us know. There's a white paper that we can explain that for you.
Nice, and everyone's sending chats to say hello to Nicole. So everyone misses you, Nicole.
We're really happy to have Grayson here. He's been a great asset to Electrical.
Sounds good. And Nicole, do you have a link to that white paper offhand by chance that we could just
keep a note of that?
I'll find it for you and send that to you.
Sounds good. If we don't get it by the end of the session here, Ben, we'll definitely send that to you via email. Looks like we've got a question here from Melissa. When two people are working on the same project, how does that affect the project files?
So you won't be able to modify two drawings at the same time. So people are able to open up different drawings within the same project, but it's going to be the same kind of thing where if two people have the same project or the same file open, it won't let you save it back. It's be like, you know, it's read-only, somebody else has this open, but you're still able to make those changes.
Sounds good. Let's see, anything else? We'll give you maybe 15-20 seconds to type out any questions you do have. Also note that if you do have any like very specific questions about like maybe some troubleshooting or something, definitely let us know those in the survey, and we can get one of our technical experts to get back to you as soon as possible. Or me, can do some stuff too. Let's see here. So we'll wait a couple seconds here. Definitely, if we don't get that link, we'll get it to you afterwards, Ben. We made a note of that. And to anyone else who wants it, please make note that in the survey we can send that to you as well for the SQL database stuff.
Yes.
That's definitely a big advancement for sure.
Yeah, SQL's nice.
I think that's everything. So again, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Grayson, for being here. I think we're touching 50 soon for these, depending on which ones we want to count or not. So definitely thank you all for being here every week at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and we'll see you again shortly. Thanks.
Bye.